Good afternoon from New York. I'm your personal mystic, trying to tell you that the best mystic is the one in you. Anyway, trust yourself. Anyway, there's a topic today. Group practices to help with inner mind communication and spiritual growth without dogma and preaching. So you wonder, what are the options for those of us who are spiritual but not religious? There are a lot. The practice of inner mind communication practices is one way, and you can do it in a group. It's beautiful to sing, and you can sing popular songs. You can sing whatever floats the boat of the people who are there. It doesn't have to be religious. It doesn't have to be religious at all. In fact, why should it be? That's dogma. That's preaching. So bypass all that, unless you all agreed. Just let that go. And the one thing that you can do that's actually quite a bit of fun, I picked up from the spirit-filled Christian people who called it singing in the spirit. Well, if you remove the silliness of trying to say it's a language without any evidence whatsoever to support that, you can just make up sounds, and that's what they were really doing. Their brain was doing it, Anyway, they would, you play a basic melody that you kind of repeat, and it sounds like a pop song, right? That's smooth and flowing. Stringed instruments like a harp. They'd used a harp and a flute, which is very nice, and a bell. You can kind of put those things in there and have everybody try to sing along to the melody, making up, the sounds, that they like. Just sounds like a language, but isn't. You're just creating things, and okay, give me an example. Just. Iranaya son pan Aria Haniesto Amina Ulusuru Kareset Anamin Kefaseu Rachel Rason Arechel Rason Johnson. Okay. You just make it up. And believe it or not, it tends to work in big crowds, where they rise together, fall together, and at the end come to a quiet finish. And soft. So, try it out. A little bit of an experiment you can also do when you're through listening to rock music. And next, what do? Well, you can do a guided, meditation or a film of nature, where, someone's actually taking a camera down a trail or something, so you can feel like you're part of it. Or they can, just guide you to the seashore, but beware that some people might not want into that. But same with the rock songs or whatever music you pick. Just go with the flow with the group. You can do these things. any more hassle than you deal with religious ceremonies and silly rituals. You know, it's like this idea of, well, even the Unitarians, picking up a rock and putting it somewhere to signal everyone that you're about to speak and share something from your life. Yeah, some joy or sorrow, right? Yeah. Well, you know why they're taking the mic in the first place, right? So let that be all the ritual you need, you know. And it can be a beautiful experience. And also, you know, they spend a lot of money on preachers and that sort of thing, give them honorary titles. You don't need that. You know, there are things on YouTube, you know, fantastic scientific discoveries and things that are exciting to learn about. Star Talk, that channel has lots of stuff that you could play at such a meeting. You know, if a lot of your people are into Linux or would like to learn about Linux, I would suggest switch to Linux or DistroTube, those channels. They're fantastic. You could play some of that. Even though the switch to Linux guy is pretty Christian. But, you know, that's okay. You can be whatever you want inside your mind. But, you know, just make sure you're on the mystic path. You know, look inside yourself. Be your own guide there. Because nobody knows you better than you. And make it a you that's educated from other people and other good experiences. You know, it's an effort to self-comfort yourself. The whole inner mind communication philosophy and practice is about learning how to speak in a comforting but growth-oriented way to yourself, using, you know, objectivity, creativity, and empathy, of the compassionate side as well. These are all forms of empathy because you're using these things to be understanding and caring for another or yourself from another perspective. And so, you know, these things both grow you as a person, and they also, and that's what I call spiritual, because these are at the root of your virtues. Goodness from compassionate empathy, and truth from objective empathy, communications, and from creative empathy, artfulness, ability to see a lot of the things and from a lot of perspectives, and fully enjoy the beauty and the awesomeness of existence. All of these three things, artfulness, goodness, and truth, are valuable, and they tend to help you grow. And as far as dealing with your inner non-language experiences, focus on emotions and you know, feelings, physical feelings, sensual feelings, whatever. Focus on those things as they come up into your mind. Learn to be at play with these things, to experience them from different perspectives, and be playful with it. It's just like you would do with the kind of singing I was talking about a minute ago. When it's in music, they use it. Why not you? When it comes to the expression, which all the abilities are the abilities of the infant. When you were a baby, you were able to do these three things: weigh, focus, and express in relationship to your needs. So expressing your deep needs, straight out, with sound, or loud or soft or whatever, positive or negative. Get in touch with yourself that way. It puts you in touch with your body and helps you to deal with disturbances that you encountered before you had language. And it's a kind of self-love again. You're doing it to comfort yourself. You're not trying to find pain in yourself, like the Christian inner healing is. Let's look for some terrible thing that happened to you, and then we'll work with that. Why? The things you need to deal with will naturally come up to the surface as you comfort yourself, just like someone at a funeral and maybe their mom maybe puts their arm around the kid's shoulders and they start to cry. Comfort works wonders. From this philosophy, you also need to is terms of how you communicate with one another in such a meeting that's spiritual but not religious. Look for common ground. Don't go in to prove you're right. Go in to be open, with an open mind, looking for the truth, and just find what you agree on, and kind of question and build on that. Maybe we're wrong, maybe we're right. If we're right, then what does that mean? That's a much more friendly thing to do than the many approaches I've seen, like people trolling who want to argue about the meaning of a particular word when they're really just diverting you away from a conclusion they don't really like, and them even diverting themselves as well. It's like that's nonsense. Or what about this? What about that? Look over here. Look over there. None of that. You got to use focus. Stay on topic. Find out what your common ground is and kind of build from there. Because if you're not growing the understanding as a group, you're just arguing. You're just trying to prove yourself right, and then people start to cling to their beliefs and so on and defend them no matter what. As soon as you feel those things attacked, you're going to, there's your comfort zone. Hey, I'm going to defend that. I don't care, right or wrong. Because comfort is our sometimes illusion of safety, but it's an important thing because anxiety will hurt your physical and mental health and your spiritual health. What's different about this? It's an approach that's spiritual but not religious, and it's open-minded. It's caring in a more effective way. It's and it's a way to have the group come to group decisions about how to proceed in a way that is the least irritating. With less verbal warfare. A lot of times in politics, it's the only thing you hear. People lambasting the other person, trying to make fun of the other person. Yeah, that's fun. And to some degree, we should we should make fun of silliness, and we should make fun of it in ourselves as well. If you can't laugh at yourself, please don't laugh at others. And and don't laugh at others. Laugh about the silliness that some people might display. So it's don't put people down. There's no need for that. People do the best they can with what they've got, and if it led them down a wrong path, well, find the common ground. Let's work on the objectivity, creativity, and compassion, so that everybody can grow together. That is necessary for real democracy. Without that element, there's no type of democracy or extension of it or attempt at it that's going to be effective. When that's not effective, what do? When you're all angry and afraid, you look for the strong man. And, I'm Big Ape. I'm bigger, stronger than you. You follow me. Yeah, really? Why? There's a lot of equalizers anymore, too, with humans. The big ape is carrying a knife, and you've got a machine gun. Well, so what? He's bigger than you. It doesn't, power should not be your driving force, unless you want to be like our cousins the apes, which unfortunately in many cases we are like them. Definitely like them. Sapolsky, Dr. Sapolsky. His doctorate was in biology and probably a few other things. Who knows? Brilliant man. He pointed out our many similarities. So, yeah, but that's not where that might be where we start, but that's not, should be our aim of where we go. Life adapts. And at this time, we need something more, and we can have something more than just an ape-like attitude. Following the leader. Too much of that. Good leaders help to create people capable of leading. Good leaders are people who help you to be empowered on your own. They don't just insist that you follow them blindly. You just lay out a path and says, do you agree? Someone who's good at communicating in that way is a leader of sorts, but they're not a strong man. They're not a strong woman. They're not somebody who is leading you around blindly because, bless your hearts, you just couldn't understand. Yeah, well, give us a chance. Especially if the title the person grabs is based on something that you can't prove any efficacy for. Make the titles honest, Those honorific titles like Reverend. I reverence you. Well, why would I reverence one person more than I do anybody else? They're all doing the best they can. They're a miracle, wonder walking, no matter who they are or how much they disagree with me or whatever. That's not a title. What is it that Reverend actually does? Okay, is she your spokesperson? You call him that. Is that person someone who leads the group as discussion leader? Call him that. Or come up with something that you agree says that. Reverend, really? That's a term only used in the Bible for God. As far as I know, I've never seen any deviation there. People wanting to be worshipped are the last people in the world that you need to be following. And people who are grabbing onto a title like what you see with gurus and things like that, they're the last people you should be following. Real leaders are humble, and they help to empower you, and they help to lead a group by bringing the group together. And that's why I'm a strong Democrat, because I see more of that in the Democratic Party now than I do in the Republican Party. It's not that I'm left or right. I attempt to be right on. And so that's my position politically, for what that's worth. And you remember that. Who that wants to lead you in government with a specific title, that we know what it means and what's expected, okay? Yeah, not just honorific based on nothing, hopefully, in some cases. They get elected anyway, although they don't exhibit the things that make them fit for office. But, hopefully things will come out in the wash, as they say, like Santos. But, and hopefully Trump. But, yeah, so, Going on to another subject, what will you do? Will you learn how to love yourself so you can learn how to love others? That's the simple message of intermind communication. You don't have to do it my way, but do it some way. Learn how to have a communication within yourself that is effective and that is both comforting and growing or empowering of you. Yeah, that's real spirituality. Doesn't depend on anything that you believe. Some people say, "Oh, you can't be spiritual and religious doesn't make any sense." Well, it depends on if you define spiritual. Spiritual has to be about virtues that work for society. You want to flower that up, go ahead, but don't push it on others. It's about goodness, truth, and artfulness. That's it. Well, what else? And self-transcendence, of course, ability to not be stuck with a position of this is who I am and that determines my whole life, because somebody called me a convict and now I have to be a convict. That's what I am. I'm a convict. You made a mistake. Okay. If you grew past that, you're no longer that. Quit using it. Don't let that label hold you back. Any other label that they try to give on to you. Gosh, there's so many labels out there. They say, are you gay or are you straight? It seems to matter a great deal on your circumstances. Just as it does sometimes in the animal kingdom. It's like, if there's nobody of the opposite gender and you're there long enough, possibly you're going to try to have some kind of alternative fun. And does that, are you going to change your label then? Or are you quasi gay then? Or you got it? Yeah, and if someone's that way, by preference, what's wrong with that? Whatever you prefer. But maybe more honest to say what you prefer rather than accepting a label. I met one guy that he was absolutely gay, didn't believe that anyone could be bisexual. And not really, but he does get turned on by women who wear certain kinds of clothing. Really. So, if the conditions are a little different, then, sorry, I need a haircut. But then, you can afford that. This is a do-it-yourself thing, so I hope that doesn't put you off doing it yourself when it comes to your spiritual life, which is all about you. But, yeah, that's crazy, huh? You know, then you hear about the people that say, well, you know, it's like, I've heard some straight guys saying that they only like women that are this way or that way. Really? You absolutely sure know that. You know, based on the silliness of, well, the complexion of the skin, or, you know, it's like, I don't know. If that's all people are to you, and you don't love them, and, you know, if you're so certain you couldn't love a woman that differs from what you idealize, then you don't love her. You don't even love your ideal either. You know, you shouldn't love somebody or not love somebody, you know what I mean? Decide to partner, let's put it that way, with somebody that doesn't, you know. Well, moving right along, that's getting old. So, the essential point that I'm making is that don't let other people determine who you are. That's one of the dangers, I think, of seeking help from somebody else with your spiritual life. You know, be critical. What is it they're actually doing for you? What is it you can expect from them? Be clear on that. Realize that there are downsides to having help. Like someone knowing things about you that probably only you and very close friends should know. Maybe it could mean the loss of a job, who knows. So, please. There are downsides. You know, they act like, oh, well, you need a professional. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you do, but only when the goals are very clear and you're not giving your soul to that person. You know what I mean? Soul. Not that I believe in unchanging soul. The atheists, calm down. But yeah. Yeah, it doesn't mean that. So, what you should consider is to help yourself all you can. As somebody said, God helps those who help themselves. People help people who, this is for sure, people are more likely to try and help you if they see you trying to help yourself. You know, because let's face it, you know, it's a bigger load to carry when the person really isn't trying to save themselves. You got to be very careful how you step into that relationship. That's like you might need a tether if you go out to save somebody drowning because they're not trying to save themselves, they're just panicking, and they can bring you down too. So, you know, get a something put around them and have something around yourself. You know, somebody on shore. You know, and that's what we all need. Is, you know, we we have the ability to swim back on our own, then we should do that. It's just, help me, unless you're trying to find a date or something, I suppose. I don't know. But I don't know how many women would dive into. Well, she's a skilled swimmer. Yeah, she might dive in to save you, but she's not going to give you a date. No. And if she senses that you could have done it yourself, you definitely are never going to get a date from her. I don't know. I try to approach things with as much humor as I can. You got to be careful with humor. It can be abusive, so you got to be a little careful. If I tread on any toes, then I'm sorry. I'm not. Well, I would be if I found out I really, I was doing the wrong thing. And that's just it, If you want someone to follow your path, and this is about the group again, you want others to follow your path, then, be free and open in your conversations with people. Don't try to say you know things you don't. And say, well, I'm inclined to think this. There are ways of saying things. You might try this or that. Use more questions when you're talking to people than assertions. Make sure, for instance, that you understand what they said before you launch into a reply. So, I wish in politics there were more of that. And we can criticize people who, we think are too far left or too far right, but, both sides have something to bring to the table. Because there's some things you should be conservative about. Let's face it. There's some things like Einstein's theory of relativity, that's been proven to be really helpful, be conservative about using that. If there's something more than that explains more, then great. That where that starts to fail, then look for something else, but to help. But remember, it's been very effective over a long period of time. And no reason to believe it's in serious error. It predicts too many things. That's how we know something is more true or not. Is how much it predicts about the past, or causation, that you can research and find out about, or how much it predicts things in the future, and from different perspectives. Science engages in all of these things, knowingly or unknowingly, that I mentioned. Compassion, why study something is it going to benefit people in some way or other? Well, eventually all studies do, but it's above my pay grade to talk about that, perhaps. You can ask Neil deGrasse Tyson about that. He's a very friendly genius. Michio Kaku too. Golly, you can. So many brilliant people are on YouTube. Why are you listening to me? Well, because I really do have something to say, I think. Let me know in the comments. But, and you might listen to me because I believe in you. So, let me end this diatribe, this expression of my particular views, as scattered as they are, lacking in scientific proof, although there's a lot of stuff out there that, since I believe if you study it, that's why I give lots of points of view at the end. And I just, suggested videos and channels and websites. Yeah, something to think about. Maybe you would come to a different conclusion than I do. That's fine. But the main point is, with everything that I talk about, is to keep the love flow going best you can, within yourself, between yourself and others. And as I like to say at the end of what I present, the word namaste. I really love that word because it means all that's wonderful, the view of ourselves as part of the universe and beyond the subject-object perspective that divides us from greater reality in many cases. Yeah, all that wonder, all that potential for love flow that exists in each person, well, we should honor that. And Namaste does that. So, I'd like to honor that in you from the same perspective I mentioned, the realization about self in that regard. From that perspective, I honor that possible view of you. Yeah, we are all together in this world. Let's try to expand love. What else can we do? How else can you be the hero of the story of your life? And die with a smile on your face. Anyway, namaste. And as I like to say at the end of my speaking, one additional thing. Have a great day. And if it isn't great, make it so. Adios.